Are you looking for a new whiskey adventure? Then climb in and buckle up. Get ready for one hell of a ride on the Whiskey Trip podcast with your host, Big Chief. Join in as he and his guests explore whiskey and dive into whiskey stories from around the world. Now here's your host, Big Chief.
Folks, you know, here on the Whiskey Trip, we celebrate more than just the pour in our glass. We celebrate heritage, tradition, and the stories that make this country what it is. That's why I'm proud to tell you about our friends at the Heritage Flag Company. These aren't just flags, they're handcrafted works of art built from whiskey and bourbon barrels that once held the spirit we all love. Every cut, every nail, every burn mark tells a story of patience and craftsmanship. Just like the whiskey we sip, these flags are bold, timeless, and full of character. Whether you hang one in your home bar, your man cave, or gift it to a veteran or first responder, a heritage flag isn't just decor. It's a statement. It says you believe in freedom, tradition, and the legacy we pass down. So saddle up, whiskey family, and head over to theheritageflag.com. Use code WhiskeyTrip10 at checkout for 10% off your order. Let them know Big Chief sent you. Because just like your favorite pour, the Heritage Flag Company is made to be shared, honored, and remembered. Now let's get on to the show. Hey, it's old Big Chief from the Whiskey Trip, and yeah, you're taking another ride with me, baby. And do I got a show for you tonight? I've got the ladies from the Whisky Wenches Spirits Society on with me, all the way from Colorado. Yes, indeed. Ladies, welcome to the Whiskey Trip.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Now, tonight, listeners, for this episode right here is really, really special for me. I've actually got to meet Britt and Amanda, but I didn't get to meet Miss Eleanor. But Miss Eleanor, welcome to the Whiskey Trip. You are
Thank you.
one in a million, probably. I've did almost 500 episodes. I was thinking about how many guests I've done, probably over 1,000 guests on my show. And you are the oldest guest I've ever had at 93.
Thank you. Yes.
And what's so special about your age at 93? And usually you don't want to tell a woman's age, right? But
I don't mind.
at a certain point you get over that. But
Right.
you were born in 1933, and
Yes.
that was the same year Prohibition was
Yes.
repealed.
Right.
I just think that is amazing that you've lived through the rebirth of whiskey in America and the downfall of whiskey in America again, and then the rise
Right.
of whiskey again. What a life you have lived. And we're going to get deep into that tonight, along with Whisky Wenches Spirits Society. But Amanda, the first question would be for you. Tell us what the Whisky Wenches Spirit Society is and how it got started.
Yeah. The Whisky Wenches was actually it was a Spirit Hound related women's spirits club. I started it in 2018. I worked at Spirit Hound starting in 2012, and I've definitely seen a shift in the demographic since I've been with Spirit Hound. But in the early days, we didn't have quite as many women who were drinkers, and I got a lot of questions that were just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is a stupid question, but," and I was like, it's not a stupid question. Let's make a place where you can just come, hang out, learn some things, and it'll be fun, and it's pretty low stakes. So that was the Whisky Wenches. We started with a lady in town. I think our first Whisky Wench, she was one of our first Whisky Wench speakers, where she came and just talked about palates and how you taste. And she worked for the Brewers Association. And then we did some cocktail classes, and we did some, bitters classes. And then at some point, I got the idea that we should distill a thing, and got a hold of a gal who's local. I wanted to do some different botanicals in the standard Spirit Hound gin, and I wanted to do some stuff that you could forage locally. And so she was a local herbalist, so she came to talk to us about what we could forage that would not poison us. And we worked some of those into the botanicals for our gin, and we distilled gin twice. And at some point along the lines, Spirit Hound wanted to do a gin to honor Eleanor, who was one of our best juniper berry pickers. And my husband, Craig, who's our head distiller, asked me if he could use the Whisky Wenches gin recipe to make the Eleanor gin. But we had done two similar but different recipes. So I took the two and hybridized them. And then all of the wenches got together and we distilled it. And Eleanor was there for the distillation, and she was there for the bottling, and she was there for the release. And she, I think, inspired a lot of women to drink a lot of gin.
Right.
Well, I got to ask, I'm sipping on a very special bottle to me, a great friend of mine, Kevin Holy out of Seldom Seen Whiskey Company and Seldom Seen Farm. He makes maple syrup. This is a maple cask finish rye whiskey, 100 proof I'm sipping on tonight. His very beautiful whiskey. What are you ladies sipping on tonight? Britt, we'll start with you.
So Amanda and I are both drinking, which I might have Amanda talk about this because Craig just kind of handed us this bottle, but we're drinking the Spirit Hound whiskey tequila finish. Is that what it was? I don't even know what Craig's the one that pulled it out for us here. So yeah, finish in Reposado tequila barrel, cast strength Spirit Hound single malt.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a Suerte tequila barrel finished.
And Miss Eleanor, what are you sipping on tonight?
I'm sipping on Eleanor's gin.
Of course you are. Those juniper berries that you picked.
I love my gin.
Well, there ain't nothing wrong with a nice, beautiful gin sometimes. I say if you want to reset your palate for whiskey, step away from the whiskey bottle for a little bit, drink some gin, even a vodka. I hate vodka sometimes, but grab a great vodka that's made out of potatoes and sip on that a little bit, or some rum or some tequila or something, and reset that palate. So that could be another gateway into whiskey right there for sure. Well, so you guys started the Whisky Wenches to kind of stop getting mansplained to, because us gentlemen sometimes just love to take over the conversation and tell people what they should think.
That does happen.
It happens.
That does happen. As somebody who leads whiskey tastings, I was leaving my work today, and I'm interning at an engineering firm this summer, and one of the engineers, I was like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to leave. I'm going to do a podcast about whiskey. And he was like, well, he's like, something you should know is that, whiskey didn't just start in Kentucky. I'm like, thank you, Tom. That was insightful. It really was. And they know that I lead whiskey tastings for a living at the Stanley Hotel and educate people on whiskey. And the amount of mansplaining that people have, when I say that that's what I do, they're like, well, did you know that bourbon has to be from Kentucky? And I'm like, well, let me tell you something that it doesn't. And I have a lot of information about that. So
what's this fellow's name? Tom?
Tom.
Tom,
yeah,
Tom, I hope you're listening tonight and you listen to this conversation, because we're going to go into a little bit of history about women and whiskey that might surprise you a little bit.
He would be shocked.
I think he would be. I can't believe somebody would actually take and try to say something like that.
I'm sure both Eleanor and Amanda get the same. I mean, I know, especially Amanda working in the industry, you get the same thing of just, you say that you know that information and they're just like, well, let me add to your education.
Well, just for Tom's knowledge, brewing and distilling were household responsibilities, and those jobs were often done by women. In Ireland and Scotland, women made beer, ale, and eventually distilled spirits on family farms. And in colonial America, wives frequently distilled surplus grain into whiskey because it was easier to transport and preserve than grain itself. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that. Women often had transported and served whiskey in speakeasies. And they also serve their husbands medicinal whiskey to get rid of pain. So Tom, there's just a little bit of history right there for you. We're going to keep going on that. But let me she-splain you a little bit. That
Yeah.
women have played a pivotal role throughout history with whiskey. And I think, I don't know, where did it get to where women weren't making whiskey? Why did they stop? Was it because they were actually mothers and they stayed at home, and licensed distillers, they took whiskey, they made it legal to make whiskey in your household in Scotland and in Ireland, and maybe that's why you've seen less women making whiskey, and then you saw less
I
women
think
drinking
you
whiskey.
you take it out of the home, you commercialize it, you make it a big production, and all of a sudden it becomes not a household commodity, but a thing that you sell, a commercialized commodity, and then it's a job, and it's not just like part of the what you do at home. And so that's when I think it shifts from, especially historically, from women to men.
Yeah, and I also think there's a piece to some of that too, where women played integral parts in getting things off the ground, even in like, settling the new world, or during the wars here in the US. And then we get to more like stable places where the men are like, you know what, you can do what you want to do is stay home and we'll take care of this. And so you have these times throughout history where women have been very integral parts of involved in what is happening. And then you get to stable parts of that where men are like, well, what you really want to do is stay home and decorate, and we'll take care, we'll take this off of your plate. And you see them kind of get pushed more into the home, and and that, I think that ebbs and flows throughout history a little.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna pop up some of those historical photos for old Tom, just to show him that women, the artwork throughout history, kind of laid it down for us, and still showcased women, beside stills, whether it was on the farm or in distilleries. And then, I wanted to go back to Eleanor, and the whiskey that was available when she was born. A lot of people think, hey, you know, there was just a bunch of distillers. But in 1933, Eleanor, Old Forester was like one of the only brands still around. I'll pop up a picture of a 1933 Old Forester bottle for you. And then a Four Roses was also a big bourbon then. They were really the only known bourbon. And then you had Canadian Club that we all know, and then Seagram's Seven Crowns. So that was 1933. And then it wasn't until 1951 you started seeing Early Times and Jim Beam and Jack Daniels really trying to gain some stuff. And even Jack Daniels was just a regional whiskey at the time. I'm curious, ladies, what was your first whiskeys that you got to try?
If you're asking me, it was,
Oh,
oh, I can't remember now what the name is. Was there a secret?
Seagrams?
Yes.
Seagrams.
Do you remember that year, Eleanor?
No, well, yes. I didn't drink until I was I was probably, the first time I tasted whiskey, I was probably 18.
In 1951.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I love that. And I'll pop up a bottle of Seagram's from 1951 for listeners out there. So you were drinking whiskey in 1951. Was it at a party or something, or you just sneak
Yes,
that?
at a party. Only at a party. And not very seldom. I grew up in a family that didn't really do much drinking of alcohol. It was sort of strange. I grew up thinking wine was okay, but whiskey was, oh my, you have to think twice. So I drank a lot of wine before I drank any whiskey.
I love it.
Because my grandfather used to make choke cherry wine, and my neighbor used to give me Italian wine that they made. Oh, they were so good.
Now, Britt, what about you? What was your first whiskey? And Britt, you do work at the Stanley Hotel and you do lead tastings. I was there doing an episode a few episodes back, and you were coming in there right after our episode and setting up. And the people that were in the hallway out there at the Stanley Hotel were so excited, and they were like, "She is legendary. I can't wait to come and watch her." And I was like, I want to stay for the class now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a big room to, like, we do those with doing the tastings. I just do those couple nights a week, but they're just back to back to back, and it's just an hour full of me educating people on whiskey. And but to kind of go back to your question of, like, my first whiskey, unlike Eleanor, I grew up in a drinking family. You would love my mom. She is but Jack Daniels was her drink, and she, my grandma was definitely one of those grandmas that, like, used whiskey on the gums for teething. So I remember sneaking Jack Daniels in my teen years. But the first whiskey I really remember, like, liking was after I turned 21, and the first time I had Woodford. And I remember thinking Woodford being this, just like, it was like this, I'm from Arkansas border, like southern Missouri. And the first time I had Woodford, that was like a top shelf whiskey at the bar I was working at. And that was like where I'm like, oh, this is actually really nice, and it doesn't burn too much. This is, and that was kind of the beginning of some of that. But really, like, the beginning of my whiskey education really lies with, like, Amanda and Craig. And, I about the first time that I really met Craig and, like, started kind of delving into, like, Spirit Hound and how whiskey is being made, and all of that process was when Craig was building the still. And he was this guy who was coming into the restaurant where I was working. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm building a still in my garage." And I'm like, "Okay, bud, that sounds super dangerous." Like, I don't know about that. And, he was just this weird, nerdy dude who would come and flirt with the bartender, who is now his wife. And I was like, he's kind of weird. And it was, jokes on me, it's very safe, and it's still uses today. But it's because of Craig and Amanda that I met McShann Walker at the Vault and got that job there. And really, a lot of my education comes from McShann Walker and Cody Sties at the Vault, and them just pouring in knowledge that I could, they've forgotten more about whiskey than I could ever retain.
Now, Amanda, what about you? What was your first whiskey when Craig wasn't hitting on you, or I don't know?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like whiskey for a long time, and it was a point of contention in our relationship. I kind of hurt his feelings a couple of times, because Spirit Hound, I came to Spirit Hound because of the gin. I love gin. That's my thing. And, Spirit Hound had distilled his first 6 barrels of whiskey. Then we had a big flood, and we had to pause production. We'd actually taken the summer off to finish some equipment, and then the flood happened. So it was almost a full year between barrel 6 and barrel 7. Not quite, but close. And, we had these first 6 barrels of whiskey, and they would pull samples of them, and they were like, they were the special gems because we don't have that much whiskey, because we had to pause whiskey production. And Craig would hand me a sample, and I'd be like, "Oh, I don't really like this." And you could see him, he's all sad. But when we released the whiskey, it was a lot of fun for me to kind of try to pick apart the flavors and try to understand what I was tasting, not necessarily whether I liked it, but what were the flavors that were there? Were they apricot? Were they vanilla? Were they cream? Were they, like, what am I tasting? And because Spirit Hound whiskey is a malt whiskey, that helped usher in my love of Scotch. Actually, I skipped bourbon. I'm not a huge fan of rye. I love non-peated Scotches. Those are my thing. So I can't really remember the first whiskey that I really enjoyed other than Spirit Hounds. I was a bartender for a long time, and, serving somebody a shot of whiskey made me kind of involuntarily, like, heave a little bit. So yeah, it took a minute.
I love it. I always love to find out what whiskeys kind of got people started, and what whiskey trip they took, like a 1951 Seagram's. A lot of people were like, what? But that was a thing in 1951.
Right.
My question another question for you, Amanda, was, is Whisky Wenches, is it a group just for experienced whiskey drinkers, or can complete beginners join?
Yeah, no, we accept anybody. It's a social club as much as anything. We are there to create a similar experience. It's women from, I have young women, I have older women, I have people who don't even like whiskey. It is a spirit society. And quite frankly, I did Whisky Wenches because it's alliterative. Afterward, I found out that there was the distilling dames, and I thought, damn it, I missed an opportunity. um, so, we love whiskey, and I do focus on whiskey generally. And at this point, the Whiskey Wenches has brewed and distilled a couple of batches of whiskey. So we have lived up to the name. But we do cocktails, we do gin. We made an orange liqueur this year, a barrel aged orange liqueur, which was a lot of fun. So it's all over the place, and it's a quite literally, I make a venue that is open and accepting to just being curious and wanting to find things out. And you just show up and you meet other people who also are curious, and you make friends. And I love connecting people. And the Whiskey Wenches, it's a great venue for connecting people who have similar interests. It's
Yeah, it's amazing the way that she like connects people, and they came to the Stanley one time, but
yeah, Brittni led a whiskey tasting at the Stanley.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I think they they kind of just explore this entire world that I think a lot of the times women toe into, where they're like nervous to step into a distillery, or and I see that from the Stanley, just the amount of women that step into the tasting because their husband is into whiskey. And then I get the question a lot, like, well, do you actually drink whiskey? And I'm like, this would be a really weird job if I didn't. Like, how, and I get that question more often if I dress more feminine. I notice, like, if I'm in really bright colors, and there's also this kind of judgment when it comes to that. And so I try to lean more into that, because and one of the things I always lean into is like, there is no gatekeeping in this room, and there shouldn't be any gatekeeping when it comes to curiosity. And I think that's something Amanda does really well in her Whiskey Winches, is
Right.
opening it up for people who are just interested in any part of it, and don't have to love whiskey. They can really just come in and ask, as they say, stupid questions, or um and then you see these women, I don't always, I don't come to a lot of the winches groups, but I know a lot of the women, and I've seen them go from being kind of nervous in the room to like now are really involved in the group and are more confident in their knowledge. And I think sometimes for women in whiskey, they think the men know so much more that they wouldn't have anything to add. And for somebody who leads tastings, we go through on the tasting board from Japanese through bourbon to rye to, all these different things. And more often than not, women that don't drink whiskey, who are, I'm like, well, what's your favorite thing that we just tried? And they'll pick the highest rye on the board. And they're like, well, that was my favorite. And I'm like, I mean, that's the boldest thing on there. And I think just from stigma, you've decided that like you're not a whiskey drinker, but I think you are. And you see these women leave after I say something like that with like more, they're also a little drunk, but like they're also a little bit more confident, and they're like, well, maybe I do like whiskey, and I just didn't know. So I think that's something that Amanda gives a lot of confidence to people in that Winches group of exploring all different parts.
I love it. And I
Right.
think you were hitting all the nails on the head about that. Is I think a lot of husbands or spouses, they tend, in my experience, like to answer for their wives whenever they're trying to learn about whiskey. And if you would just step back and drink your own whiskey and not answer for your spouse, and let them ask the questions and let them get the answer from the person giving the tasting,
Right.
they will open up so much, and you might have a partner that wants to go and stop at distilleries and be like, "Oh, hey, I want to run into this liquor store to see if they have this bottle that I heard about."
Mhm.
They will get more. They'll be like, "Hey, let's buy another bottle from this distillery." Uh, wouldn't it be awesome to have a partner like that? I have
Yeah.
a partner like that that loves her
I was gonna say,
whiskey.
I'm pretty sure
That's
my
you're
husband
lucky.
wishes I didn't have such a whiskey appetite.
Well, that's that comes with
It gets
He's
some
like, look,
expensive.
he's
danger.
like, look what I have created.
A necessary evil, though, right? I think to have a spouse that loves something that you love is a great thing, and I think some men, um, they would get out of their own way. They would have so much more fun. Eleanor, looking back over your 90 plus years, how has
Uh-huh.
whiskey culture changed the most for you? Have you seen it changed?
Well, I've seen a change mainly because of Amanda. I think she's doing a wonderful job. She's
Yep.
making us feel like we're not wrong when we want to know about whiskey and and if we want to enjoy it. Because I was looked down on my life for many of years, and now I do not feel that way.
When you were growing up as a young girl, did you
Oh,
ever see women drinking whiskey in the 40s and early 50s?
no, never.
I always wondered that, was it a behind closed doors thing, or, my
Well,
my grandmother
what?
sipped on a little whiskey, so
Yeah, well, with my family, it probably was because for some reason I grew up and there was never anything. As I said, wine was different, but there was never any liquor around. And when I turned 21, all of a sudden, all these bottles appeared. So I don't know why my parents seemed to think they had to hide it from myself and my two sisters, but they did. So I really wasn't exposed to much of it until I was older.
I love it. So have you, uh, Britt and Amanda, over the last several years, have you seen whiskey change their marketing strategy towards women? And what
Ooh.
could they do better to get more women into whiskey?
I don't know
Are
if
you
you have any
talking?
thoughts, but
If you want Amanda to answer that?
Yeah, Amanda.
Either
Okay.
way, yeah. I have definitely seen I have seen a change in marketing strategy, mostly because when I first started, and again, I started Spirit Hound in 2012 and kind of started managing 2015, 16, something like that. Um, I just feel like the realization that women are a big demographic and that they could be big purchasers kind of it just happened. Like all of a sudden it's like this realization like, oh, we have like half of our demographic or half of the human population could be our customers. So maybe we should market to them. Um, I see more and more whiskey, like female whiskey influencers. I do see a lot more like female customers who come in who are expert, like they know what they want. They drink a lot of whiskey. And so that has changed a lot since when I first started. I know I've seen a couple of distilleries do specific like try a couple of things like do like Johnny Walker had a specific label for a little while where they had a female version of a Johnny Walker. And there was I think some pushback on that, but
Hmm.
there's you do see it. And I think more than anything, I think the whiskey industry, and again, my experience is the Scotch industry, I really pay attention more to them than anything else, but they celebrate the female blenders, the female distillers, the women in their industry who do have positions of power. Um, and maybe it's because I'm paying attention more. But I do feel like I see that more than I used to. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen it.
I honestly, I haven't noticed that. I do think there are certain people in the industry like Jackie Zykan, that are making a big name for themselves and like kind of doing big things. But as far as like somebody who, I work in a room that only buys single barrel from different places, and I don't notice that really in our labeling so much. I do notice a bigger clientele, just of people coming in and buying the whiskey. But as somebody who has worked behind the counter and does the tastings, the amount of people that will come in to try to get us to do samples or things like that are looking for the man in the room. And I think that's still something, and I that's something I love about the vault a lot, which I know you didn't get to do the tasting with, or the interview with McShann in there, but especially McShann, who is such a talking head of whiskey in Estes Park. And he has this like Southern accent. He's, very kind of Southern landly whiskey drinker guy. And I think just having a room like that where we notice, and I have a coworker who's also female, where there's a lot of men that come in that want to, talk to the man in the room. And when McShann was there, especially, they'd come in and they're like, oh, let me ask you about this, this, and this. And he's like, yeah, I'd be happy to let you know. Brittni, tell him. And was really good at kind of just that softball pitch off of just being like, obviously I'm not the one working, but you're wanting to, but I don't notice that, as much in our labeling as I see for like single barrel picking. And like,
I actually wanted to talk to you, but you were too busy eating a hamburger the day I met you.
I was yeah. To be fair, we just gotten off a really big hike.
I was
I know.
hiking with her, and I was like, I had like 30 minutes to like eat that hamburger and get set up for 10 people to set into the room, and I was like, I was like, I would love to talk to you, but I'm starving.
Britt was not shy about eating her hamburger. She was like, I don't care who this man is. Yeah, I'm going to eat this burger.
I have 20 minutes until I'm back-to-back tastings.
You brought up Jackie's ICANN. Shout out to her.
Jackie's
she
awesome.
Is amazing woman. I've had her
Such a
on one of my
force.
shows before. Oh yeah. But there's so many other women in whiskey. I had Elisa Henley on from AJ Bond with Sazerac. My good friend Jane Bowie, that used to be the master blender, master of maturation at Maker's Mark, and now she's running her own company with Denny Potter Jane. My friend, good friend April Weller Cantrell, but Elizabeth McCall at Woodford Reserve, and you would have
and Old Forester. Old Forester has a I'm blanking on her first name. Rift is her last name, but I think their master taster at Old Forester is also a female now too, and she came out and did a big tasting for us at the Stanley once, and was spectacular.
But it's not like that's just been a thing lately. If you look back in history, Margie Samuels, she created the Maker's Mark name. She designed the label. She invented the signature hand-dipped wax seal. She helped create that iconic brand that everybody knows for Kentucky bourbon, right? Peggy No Stevens from Bourbon Women, another women's group. You start talking about women and you're like, well, wait a minute. It's not like this is a new thing. The actual creator of the sour mash process is not Dr. Crow like everybody thinks is. Catherine Carpenter, that actually created that, a woman. It's not like it's something that's lost on us, and I don't know why we try to bury history all the time. It just doesn't fit our social society that we're in. But things are changing. Women are a force to be reckoned with, I believe. And I love it. I love having you ladies on. We're right up against our first half. We've went over to 30 minutes, and I always like to say, if the conversation is flowing, let it roll. That's what's beautiful. When we come back for the second half, I've got some spitfire questions for you ladies, and for Eleanor, we're gonna deep dive into your whiskey history a little bit, and we're gonna celebrate you a little bit. I hear that it was your birthday. Happy birthday! 93 years on this earth. Enjoying good whiskey, enjoying good company like the Whisky Wenches Spirits Society. I love it. I can't thank you ladies enough. But when we come back for the second half, I'm going to be drinking on a Colorado whiskey. I'm going to drink on some Deer Hammer out of Buena Vista. Probably one of the most beautiful drives I've ever had in my life was dipping down into that valley.
Oh yeah,
It's my favorite as well.
Just
iconic.
it just took me back. I was like, I was born in the wrong time. I needed to be riding a horse and having a bottle of whiskey with me just to ride into that valley. But well, listeners, you stick with us, and when we come back, we'll finish this story, but we'll also be giving away a bottle of whiskey, one of my rocks glasses, and I think I'm going to throw in a challenge coin just to say hey to some people. But stick with us. We'll be right back. The Whiskey Trip is proudly sponsored by Guardian Coins, a veteran, family-owned and operated company that understand what it truly means to honor service, story, and tradition. Guardian Coins just doesn't make the challenge coins. They craft symbols of pride, legacy, and camaraderie. From military units and first responders to distilleries, brands, and special events, every coin is designed with purpose and built to last. Here at the Whiskey Trip, our official Whiskey Trip Challenge coin was brought to life by Guardian Coins, and it represents exactly what this ride is all about. Craftsmanship, community, and sharing a great pour with amazing people. From custom artwork to flawless finishes, Guardian Coins works with you one-on-one to turn your vision into something tangible, something you can hold, collect, and pass down. So if you're looking to create a coin that tells your story, whether it's from your unit, your brand, or your next big milestone, trust the folks who know how much that story matters. Visit Guardian Coins on Facebook and tell them Big Chief from the Whiskey Trip sent you. Now pour something good and let's get back to the ride. All right, listeners, we're back for the second half with Whisky Wenches Spirits Society. I've got Britt, Amanda, and Eleanor on with me. Eleanor, as you can see, she is a spry 93. Born in Prohibition, raised up through the whiskey ages of America, and she's here to tell us about picking juniper berries. I heard she's an expert at that. How do you become a juniper berry picker, Eleanor?
How did I become it? Well, I knew that Craig needed juniper berries, and I thought, well, I was living with my daughter and son-in-law, and we had juniper trees all around us. So I thought, well, I could pick some and take them down. And so I did. And then we just started having a fantastic relationship because when I pick juniper berries, I take them in the house and then I clean them. And they were so surprised when I came with clean juniper berries. I don't know if anybody else ever had done that or not, but that's where I got my became famous, is just because I clean them so well. And
Eleanor
I picked
has
a
the
lot
best
of them.
junipers. She does. It's true.
Well, I
So-
love that. So really what you were doing is you're picking juniper berries to get free gin.
Yes,
That's what I'm
yes,
well,
yes.
that's
But
kind of
I
job
just
I need.
mainly, I did get free gin, which was wonderful. And then I started liking one gin, and then I liked the other one even better. And then when they made my gin, oh, I was so thrilled. It's so good that I'd never have gin and tonic anymore. I drink my gin on the rocks
Now,
because it's wonderful. It's such a good sipping gin.
have you ever drank barrel aged gin?
What gin?
Barrel aged.
It's the brown
Yes,
gin.
I did. I'm not too thrilled with it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Hey, to each their own. I'd rather you tell the truth. Be a truth teller.
No, I don't. I don't know. I guess I'd have to ask Amanda what I like. She knows what I like. It's just made the regular way, and that's how I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah,
what?
Eleanor's gin was the batch 13, which was our double distilled. So the original batch 13 was kind of an accident. We had some issues with it, and we had to distill it a second time to clean it up. But it has more of the juniper character, so that's probably why Eleanor liked it so much. She sat there cleaning all those junipers, smelling all of them. So
Right.
she just
And
loves that
and I
smell.
must admit, I always taste my berries to make sure that they are good tasting juniper berries before I turn them in.
So you're just sitting
Yep.
there chewing on a mouthful of juniper berries?
No, not very many. Just once in a while. I'll tell you, they're good.
I could just
Yep.
see you looking like one of those little chipmunks with your cheek pooched out with juniper
Right?
berries filled up in there. Yeah, they have those little chipmunks going up in Estes Park, and I must have looked like a little sweetheart there, sitting on a big stone, just feeding them little chipmunks peanuts.
Right?
And this little girl, she was like, "That is so amazing." I was like, "It is." I was like a little kid in a candy store. Those little
Right.
chipmunks, I was so happy. Probably one of the best things besides stopping in lines and meeting Amanda and Craig, and then getting to go up to Estes Park and meeting Britt and Cody. What an amazing adventure me and Miss Viv had.
Oh, yes.
We've been all around the world together, and we were talking, and we were like, man, this is the best trip, and kind of rejuvenated our marriage.
Good.
On that trip, we just had a great time. Now, I wanted to tell
Well,
listeners about what I'm sipping on here. I'm sipping on some Deer Hammer out of Buena Vista, Colorado. Yeah, old Deer Hammer, Lenny up
oh,
there. He's putting out this American single malt right here, and this sucker is 55, 110 proof. I love it. It's double pot distilled. Eleanor, what's your favorite whiskey of all time?
well, I would say Craig's Spirit Hounds,
That's a good answer.
because I was
Yes, it
trying
is.
to think, and really, that's my favorite, is Spirit Hound.
Now, Britt, what
They
about
make a
you?
good whiskey.
Craig
I
does make an amazing whiskey. And
That's
I
right.
loved he was like a little whiskey nerd there, and I was like,
oh
man,
my god, he's so
I love
much.
this guy.
Yeah.
And just amazing. I could have talked for 5 hours. We could have had a podcast
Oh,
forever.
he's an amazing person, and I was so thrilled when he and Amanda got married.
Me too.
Oh, you too, right?
I'm sure Amanda was pretty happy too.
That's all right. Yeah, that's pretty happy
All
about
right.
it.
Did you
Particularly because we
know,
got married in Scotland, so
Eleanor?
was,
Did you know that Craig makes her split firewood?
I wouldn't be well. I don't know if he does or not. Does he,
I wish you could
Amanda?
see
Oh, he
his
does.
face right now.
He does. Okay. Well, you must be awfully good at it. He's lucky I'm not married to him. I couldn't have done that.
I'm gonna reframe that in that Craig is lucky that Amanda splits firewood for him.
He's very lucky. That's right.
honestly, Big
Yes.
Chief, I forgot that I was doing that the day that I met you. I was like, oh, I need to go down and say hi to this guy. I was okay. I'm gonna put down the mall right now and go do this.
So you were
No,
actually
I
you had a log splitter or an actual maul?
Oh, so it's a mall. It's like I have a splitter and then I use the mall, and yeah, I just split
Oh,
it.
you have a splitter. Good.
Yeah, little wedge. It's a wedge splitter.
Uh-huh. That
We-
helps.
Were we talking?
It's not hydraulic.
It's used by your muscles. The splitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yep. You just.
Right.
Yep.
Oh my
You know, it's
goodness.
good exercise, but it's cold.
yeah,
Great.
Amanda's the boss.
Yeah.
Listeners,
That's Colorado. You
don't
guys
go to
win.
Lyons,
Okay.
Colorado and mess with Amanda. She will whoop your ass.
So,
Yes,
I'm telling you.
yes,
Am
you
I-
will.
are Mike? Do you live in Texas?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I live down in Southeast Texas, down here, right on the Louisiana state line. We got
Oh,
gators
okay.
down here, crawfish, and it gets
Crawfish, I would like.
they're spicy now.
Yeah.
Just a tad bit.
Well, that makes sense
Yeah.
of why you were sharing with Still Austin. 'Cause that's
Oh yeah.
not too far.
Well, just since I said that, I shared some whiskey with Emiliano from there, their head distiller, and they are 5 hours away from us. But Emiliano is one of my longest listeners, almost 500 episodes, and we have just become great friends. I would call him a brother. I've taken him
Good.
on a barrel pick with me. He is an amazing man, and I can't wait to see his future in whiskey. I'm always excited. Like when I went to Colorado, I went to Talnua, and that was my third trip there, third episode with him. And I love my family and whiskey. It's Spirit Hounds. You all three of you ladies are my family now. You can't get rid of old Big Chief.
Oh, that's good.
You're with me
Well, we love
for
Talnua too. The
eternity.
Whiskey Wenches got to go visit them. Megan gave us a really awesome tour late last year, I think it was. Because you got to get out sometimes. You got to go see other people's stuff, and
Yeah.
so they very graciously agreed to host us. And when we planned it, didn't realize. I think it was during Great American Beer Festival week.
wow.
And GABF had accepted distillers in. And so I think they were part of that, if I remember correctly. So they were so busy, man. And Megan made time for us, and she was so sweet. So we love those guys. They make a great product, and they're very nice people.
I love it. I love it. Now, Britt, we were getting to. I'd ask Eleanor what her favorite whiskey of all time was. We got a little off track there. Imagine that.
Weird. Whiskey.
But Britt, what's your favorite whiskey? And Tom, don't answer for.
No shit. No, unlike Amanda, I prefer rye, and I am a huge Willet fan. We don't get really Willet is like more a small batch, not so much single barrel, but I love Willet all the time. And Willet rye, it was, if I could take home a bottle out of the vault, it would be a Willet rye bottle. But and I'm also a huge fan of Old Forester too. Just every single barrel of Old Forester that we get, I'm like giddy when it comes in. And Spirit Hound too. I mean, I'm always a Spirit Hound fan. I remember whenever like the opening night of coming down here, and I'm sure you've been to some opening of distilleries, and my husband and I came, and we were like, okay, like no matter what happens, you have to say it's good. And been to a few of those, and you're like, And I remember the first sip of Spirit Hound, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually really, really good. And we ended up having to get an Uber. We ended up being here all night and had to have somebody come and get us but we were not anticipating that. But rye is generally my pick, and I love especially like Old Forester as a rye-based bourbon too. So I love that. I love that mouth spice of a rye.
I think Miss Rye is misunderstood a lot in America, and a lot of people don't understand the history of rye in America. And we tried to bury that history like we do with women, because it had a lot of German ties to it. After World War I and World War II, we tried to erase that history, which was not a good thing. Amanda, what about you? I know you're going to say Spirit Hounds.
I do. I mean, to be fair, I do love Spirit Hound, but like I said, I'm a Scotch person. I love the non-peated Highland Scotches, and actually, I would say probably my go-to is a Bruichladdich. They're one of my favorites because they're on Islay, which of course has this like peat history, but they do make the Port Ellen and the Octomore, which I do love those as well. But man, that Bruichladdich is it's a little bit briny, it's bready, it is just so drinkable. That's probably my go-to, my favorite, just generally. Although Scapa on the Orkney Isles is probably we discovered them several years ago. We did a tour of Highland Park, and we had a good time. But we asked for some samples, and they're like, yeah, we don't really do samples. You can go around the corner. There's a whiskey bar. You can go try some of our stuff over there. So we go to the whiskey bar, and they had a Scapa that, which is a small distillery. I think they've been revived at this point, but they were mothballed for a long time. And during the silent season of Highland Park, they would go make whiskey at Scapa. And so they were accumulating this whiskey over the years, not much of it, but some. And I think what we got was one of those runs during the silent season. And I think it's one of the finest whiskeys I've ever had. And so anytime I get a chance to try a Scapa, I found some in a duty-free shop on my way back from Scotland this last time and bought it without tasting it. I think it's the best whiskey I brought home from Scotland this last round. So
I love it. I love it. Now, Britt, you said something about taking an Uber, and that just racked my mind. I wanted to tell listeners real quick about the Whiskey Valor Foundation. Now, the Whiskey Valor Foundation, I'm going to pop up their code right here for you and their logo for you. I want you to go and donate to this charity right here. Whiskey Valor Foundation is trying to eradicate drinking and driving in the military. They want to give each member, each veteran, a $25 Uber ride home from events. So if you would,
Nice.
please visit Whiskey Valor Foundation. The QR code's right there. They'll take $5. They'll take $10. They'll take $20. Hell, they'll take $10,000 if you'll give it to them. But that money, you can guarantee it's going to go to veterans and first responders. They're going to go to members like me that need to get home from a ride. Trust me, in my day, a lot of members would get behind the wheel and lose their life or hurt somebody else, and we want to prevent that. So please donate today. I would appreciate it. Now, ladies, getting back to the episode here, I popped that up on you real quick. So a couple of quick fire questions for you, if you permit me that. What's one misconception about women and whiskey?
I would say, I think for me, I kind of touched on this earlier, but I think a common misconception is that something I notice is like the more feminine you are, the less you drink whiskey. And I noticed that, like I kind of said, with like if I am in like a floral dress, or I like do, like wear like just something very, very feminine, I get more pushback from men in tastings than if I am wearing like jeans and a t-shirt. And to me, that's something that I notice time and time and again. And that's when I start to get questions of like, do you actually drink whiskey? And I'm like, why don't you sit down? Let me tell you about whiskey. And I think to me, that's like a big common misconception is that like the more feminine you are, you should be at the wine bar upstairs. Or
Ladies like whiskey.
ladies like whiskey.
Come on.
She missed the quick fire part. I guess that wasn't a quick fire question, really.
Yeah.
Amanda, what's one underrated whiskey out there?
Ooh, underrated. Oh, I feel like I kind of talked about. I mean, God, underrated. Spirit Hound. Can I use that card? Spirit Hound is the underrated one.
All right. This is messing up my quick fire.
Was that quick fire enough for you?
Yeah, that was quick fire. Man, let's change it up, I guess. Heck, good Lord, hurt me. Let's go back to the gin being named after Eleanor. How did that come about?
Well, I mean, I can let Eleanor answer some of this, but really, we just wanted to say thank you to Eleanor. She was quite literally our best juniper supplier, and we just, in kind of talking about new products and like what we wanted to do, because Spirit Hound is a spirits company. We make whiskey. Our whiskey is our flagship is the malt whiskey, but we make a lot of other stuff too. And gin was one of the first things we made. So just talking about what we wanted to do, and our classic gin is pretty botanical. It's herbal, I would say. And we wanted to do something a little bit different. And so we, love Eleanor. She's wonderful, and we wanted to use the Whisky Wenches recipe, and that's why it turned into Eleanor Gin.
I love it. Britt, do you think we're witnessing another major turning point in whiskey history right now? A lot of people say, hey, the bubble has burst. We're seeing that in the market. We see where the distilleries closing down their stills like Jim Beam. Do you think we're seeing something major here happen And then I'll ask a backup question to Amanda there.
It's kind of a hard question to answer. We are definitely in a downturn. I mean, like with some of these, but I think there's also more of a focus on more local or like more craftsmanship that we're seeing, and we're seeing more things, different things become more important, where like mass production or cheapest thing or isn't as important. When I talk about like in tastings, like where the grains come from and that we're supporting local farmers, and how the distilleries that we know and work with, a big piece to like the single barrels we pick have a lot to do with the people that are doing good in their community. And you see these people like Still Austin, who are feeding back into their local communities, buying local grain, and making that a focus. I think just overall across the board, that's becoming more important to communities. And here in Colorado, like, why American single malt is, you were talking about like that being kind of something you're going to focus on like a future episode. And American single malt is more very Colorado. We have a lot of that because we have a lot of barley farm. And so you see some of these places focus more on their local economies and local communities, and local just barrel suppliers. A big part of our thing is like single barrel, and we talk a lot about like second barrel finishes are a big thing that I think are becoming more popular, and where those barrels are coming from and where our barrels are going. People care more about. And when I talk about those kinds of things in tasting, people care about those more than talking about like, say, like just their vacation on the Bourbon Trail or what their favorite thing is. I think kind of that more local focus is going to be something that we're going to see as a resurgence of supporting not only the distiller, but community and local economy.
Now, Amanda, so Whisky Wenches Spirits Society, you guys do a lot of events about education and entertainment too. There's entertainment value in there, but
They're all highly entertaining.
I'm sure they are. But do you believe that a lot of distillers are missing the mark by not showcasing their whiskey to groups like Whisky Wenches Spirits Society?
I don't know that they're necessarily intentionally leaving groups of women out. I just think that they're not necessarily, they don't realize the value of enticing groups like us. We've done some really great events though. We got very lucky. Leopold Brothers hosted us actually right before my last Scotland trip. We got to visit their malting floor. And Leopold is one of the few in the country that I know of. I think they're the only one, but I could be completely wrong.
They're not.
That does floor malting. That they're not.
No.
Okay, so there's other floor malting places, but as I was headed to Scotland, where floor malting is such a big thing, it was really fun to see an American company who's doing this floor malting experiment, and doing it well. They Leopold Brothers is they do a great job. But then to go to Scotland and to see those guys, and they're doing it on a much bigger scale, of course. And then traditional malting as well. But I don't know. We've had a decent, I mean, everybody that I've ever reached out to has always been very welcoming. They want to host the wenches. They love that I'm bringing a group of women. I do tours once a year in April of a very small group of women to Scotland, and walking into these Scottish distilleries with 5 women and no men is the most fun that you could imagine having. Because every head turns and they're like, where are the men? Why is there a bunch of women here? And they just have so much fun with it. It's a really great time.
They're probably thinking there's 5 wives right there. 5 wives.
Yes, exactly. She likes whiskey. She's coming home with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that Colorado distilleries, I don't think are the ones that I have come across aren't intentionally leaving anyone out. It's just Spirit Hound was smart enough to start a group of or a group for women in spirits, and we've kept it going. And Dryland Distillers, they're in Longmont. They have a really great group of women too, the Distilling Dames, and I'm sure there's others. And obviously the women who whiskey, and bourbon women. They do some really awesome stuff. We're
Oh,
not alone.
there's so many great
That's right.
Yeah.
groups out there for just
Yep.
women that don't let big dudes like me in there. They don't want our giant voices in there. No, seriously, I've been asked to speak at women's events, and
Mhm.
I'm actually gonna throw a class here in Southeast Texas just for women, just so they can experience a tasting and learn how to taste. And
Good.
you know, and these are women that I think they're whiskey curious. So you know, there's several different ways to get somebody to try a good whiskey. But to
Mhm.
get somebody to drink a cask strength whiskey it could be tough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you start with a cocktail with one woman, sometimes you start with a finished whiskey. For my wife, it was, hey, let's try some 130 proof cask strength. And I found out that she really likes a cask strength because she can taste the sweetness in it, the fruit notes in it, the chocolate in it, and
Yeah.
instead of a 80 or 90 proof that's more bitter or tannic to her. You know,
Mhm.
and I think people have to look at that and really dive into each person has a different palate. Even though
Right.
women have a different, better palates than men, and I think they can taste whiskey better than men and give us better tasting notes. So I often
And that can be
ask my
tricky.
wife.
That can be tricky too, if your palate's really sensitive, then the alcohol can be overwhelming. So
Mhm.
it's one of the first whiskey classes that I taught, or one of the first Whisky Wenches classes that we did, was how to taste whiskey and how to like smell it with your mouth open, and so you're not burning your palate, so that people with those more sensitive palates can taste it and not be overwhelmed by it. And I think
Oh yeah, you're 100% correct on that.
coping mechanisms.
Coping.
Yeah.
Now, Eleanor, the next question's for you.
Okay.
Over the time that you've been drinking whiskey, and if you look back on it and think about it, what's one bottle you wish that you could go back and buy today because it was that good?
Boy. Well, hmm. Actually, I hate to say it, but it was Scotch. And it was a smoked Scotch. And it's something that the first time I tasted it, I could hardly believe how good it was. So, as far as whiskey, I would say, as I said, my favorite whiskey, because I'm not quite a whiskey drinker, but I do like Spirit Hounds. And if ever I wanted a bottle of whiskey, that's the one I would want.
Well, I don't think you have any problem getting some Spirit Hounds.
No, yeah, I'm lucky.
Yeah, right behind those two ladies right there. There's a whole bunch of whiskey back there. I know because I've been in that room.
Right.
Trust me,
Yes.
it
And
was
they
hard.
have good whiskey. It's really good.
I was like, "What is Craig doing to me? He's just teasing me." He's like, "Let me show you my little whiskey library I have," and I'm like,
A little library.
Yeah.
"Why are you
One of
teasing me?
everything.
You don't tease a man like me with stuff
Yeah.
like this? That's
Well,
horrible."
wait, he brought you over to the whiskey library, but he didn't show you the Four Roses?
He did not. Well, I don't know. We just talked about all
We
the stuff,
did, but
and I can't wait to show listeners that Four Roses right there
yeah.
bottle. So tell us
Yeah.
about that Four Roses bottle real fast.
Yeah, I can do that. This was given to us by a customer of ours he's a friend. His father-in-law was a pharmacist during Prohibition, so this is a Prohibition era bottle,
Oh,
and unopened with a tax stamp. It's yeah, original, and it's just sitting over here. It's not going to be anymore. We're gonna have to lock it up now that all the people who watch your podcast when I
That's
was here.
right. Right.
You better put that in a real whiskey vault.
Yes.
But yeah, no, that's the beauty of owning a distillery. You know, people just people in the whiskey community, they like to share. We all of course we like to drink good whiskey, but we want to share it with people who enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, you know, I come back from Scotland, I bring scotches and I don't drink them until I bring Brittni over to my house. We just
It's such a hard friendship.
I know. Poor thing. But that is the really nice thing about it. So people show up all the time with just delicious, fun, rare whiskeys from all over and from all time periods.
Yeah.
I
I noticed that from doing
love it.
That's
tastings
great.
with like when I ask people, I usually ask them what their favorite thing is we tasted for the night. And then also a lot of times I'll ask like, well, what do you usually drink? Like, what's your favorite thing? And I've never had somebody tell me that their favorite whiskey they ever had was this really expensive bottle of Bland's that they were drinking by themselves as a bar. It always involves people. And it might not be like,
Yes.
they're like, well, it might not be the most expensive bottle, but it was this bottle that I had when my neighbor told me this, or my brother did this, and it's always this celebratory thing. And whiskey is so much about like bringing people together. And I notice that a lot with like and try to kind of focus with that on like our tastings where, this is so much a group activity and whiskey is so
Oh,
much of a
right.
celebratory thing. It's not just like it's not just like an alone thing that you're just enjoying. It's something you're sharing.
Hmm.
Well,
That's right. I agree with her.
Oh, yes, ma'am. And I love that you guys have built a community. Whisky Wenches Spirits Society is more than just a society. It's a community of women that have
Yes.
like-minded thoughts that want to experience the best fruits life have to offer, and the best whiskeys around the world. And everybody has their own opinion on what's best. I believe craft whiskeys around the United States are the best whiskeys in the world. They are like little hidden gems that you got to dig up sometimes. But once you find it, man, they can be absolutely amazing. Ladies, I'll give you right before we finish up here. I wanted to give each of you a chance to talk to listeners out there. And if you have any final thoughts for them, listeners, but we'll start with Britt.
You gotta start with me.
You
Um,
have the best things to say.
I, for me and like the way that in my whiskey journey, you know, I love drinking whiskey. I've never had a whiskey that I poured out, and I just love the history that is whiskey, and it is such a big piece to this experiment that we are all experiencing together that is America. And it's something that I lean into when I'm doing my tastings, and not so much like if you're not tasting apricots, you're not doing this right. Because I think that can be like a level of gatekeeping that can keep people out of not starting drinking whiskey because they're not tasting something that you should be tasting. But it is such a piece of our history, and it's just an ongoing story that we're all kind of constantly contributing to in every room you are like in this moment right now where we're all experiencing together of a moment in history of women getting to talk about whiskey. And I hope it just leads to more women getting into it and fighting through the burn to find the goodness.
Amanda?
Yeah. Well, mine's a shameless plug to come join the Whisky Wenches. So
That too. Sorry, I should be on the
We're
shameless.
gonna
Yeah,
give
right?
we're gonna give you more plugs. Trust me.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, we're a fun group of ladies, and like I said, we distilled the Eleanor gin. That was our first foray into distilling, but we did actually distill a couple of batches of whiskey. And the ladies actually, the Deer Hammer you're drinking was the inspiration for our grain bill, because they do a little bit of a chocolate malt. And, I went to them and I said, hey, you get to pick like what grain bill do you want to do? And Spirit Hound, their grain handling system is set up for barley. So that's kind of what we stuck with. But, we use Troubadour Malting in Fort Collins. They're local. They're part of the Colorado Grain Chain, which tries to support Colorado agriculture, both in distilleries, breweries, bakeries, all that kind of stuff. And so Chris at Troubadour has been wonderful in providing tasting notes and all the stuff for the grains. But because I'd had Deer Hammer and I'd had a little bit of their chocolate malt in a whiskey, I was like, you know what? This could be pretty good. So the Whisky Wenches gin has a little bit of, or gin, I'm sorry, whiskey has a little bit of chocolate malt in it. And the first batch that we did was almost 2 years ago. We're going to try to do at least a 3-year because Colorado, we're high and dry. Usually 3 to 4 years is that's drinkable. And hopefully going to be awfully tasty. So my takeaway here is try the Whisky Wenches whiskey and also become part of the Whisky Wenches.
And go on her women's Scotland trips.
Well, there's that too. Come with me to Scotland.
Come with Amanda to Scotland.
Eleanor, any last thoughts for us?
My last thought is that I'm so thankful that they are now making us women realize that it's fine for us to like whiskey and to want to talk about whiskey. When I grew up, it was frowned on. And I'm so happy that more women are getting involved in the business. Because I must admit, I am a woman's liber, and I'm all really for women doing things. Because we can do anything a man can do as well, if not better. And I'm very happy that women are now moving forward.
Hell yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining my family and joining me on this podcast. Now, to celebrate Whisky Wenches Spirits Society,
Right.
I'm going to do a giveaway here. But where can we find your group on social media, Amanda?
The Whisky Wenches have an Instagram. We're just Whisky Wenches Spirits Society. We're also on Facebook. We have a group, Whisky Wenches Spirits Society. So anybody can join. You can just keep tabs on us, or you can come actually join us at an event. And we do one a month in Lyons and one a month in Denver. So
I love it.
come to
And then
either one.
what about your trip? When is your trip usually, and how can people find out about that?
Yeah. So once a year in April, I lead ladies in Scotland. It's super small, 8 people, but we Nooks and Crannies Travel is my company, and you can find out more about it there.
Awesome. I love it. Now, listeners, this is how we're going to do this giveaway, right? We're going to give away a bottle of Eagle Rare right here, 10-year. No, it's not the 12-year. I gave that away already to a friend. But shout out to Ryan Marino from Marino Outfitters. Buddy, we're going to do one hell of a giveaway for some listeners out there. You just got to stay focused and pay attention to what I'm doing and what I'm saying, because old Marino Outfitters and me, we got something pretty special coming. But we're going to give away this right here, this bottle Eagle Rare, one of my rocks glasses right here, and then one of my amazing challenge coins from Guardian Coins. Thought I might have one in my desk right here, but I don't. But if you look back up on that shelf, you can see one of those up on the shelf up there. But we'll give one of those challenge coins away, one of the rocks glasses, and this right here, this Eagle Rare 10-year. What you got to do is you got to put an emoji of an eagle. You got to tag 4 friends. Hell, tag 100. I want you to follow the Whisky Wenches Spirits Society on Instagram and to follow the Whiskey Trip. You got to be 21. You got to reside in the United States. We'll do this all week long. You know how I like to do it. I don't use a randomizer. I pick the person that supports the Whisky Wenches Spirits Society and the Whiskey Trip the most throughout the week. We'll do it all week long. On Monday evening, I'll announce the winner.
Nice.
Put in for it. If you don't put in for the giveaway, you can't win it. Hell, I'll have to send it to Eleanor, and she'll have to drink this bottle of Eagle Rare by herself.
I'd like that.
Chewing on those juniper berries like a little
Right.
chipmunk.
Right.
I love it. I love it. Well, ladies, thank you so much. Britt, how can people find you on social media? Can they find you on social media?
Yeah, I am on there. It's Brittni Elaine, Brittni. My name is spelled kind of different. You can see it on here. And then also just I work at the Stanley Vault, so you can follow at the Vault.
You should
there
come
on
get a
Instagram.
tasting. You should come get a tasting with her. She's
Yeah.
amazing. She knows her shit.
Yeah, come visit Estes Park and come get a tasting at the Stanley Hotel.
It's not that creepy down there, folks. I was down there, spent no ghost talked to me or nothing. Cody talked to me.
Yeah,
and
Cody
then,
has we if Laura's there, she can help to creep it up a little bit. She's deep in the ghost spirits.
that didn't sound too good.
That didn't sound good, no. But
She
Laura
can
knows
creep
a
it
lot
up.
about the hotel. I don't know the best way to say that.
Well, ladies, thank you for taking this ride with me. Listeners, I got two things to tell you about before we leave. First, I want you to go check out my buddies at Frontline Heroes Outdoors. They got an event on October 3rd, a Heroes Night to Remember. Now, Frontline Heroes Outdoors, you've heard me talk about them before, but they are an organization, a charity that supports veterans, first responders. They get them into the outdoors, hiking, hunting, fishing, take them to outdoor sporting events. It lets them take their minds off the stresses of their everyday jobs. So I'd really appreciate it if you'd support this charity. If you're going to be able to go to this event on October 3rd, you might see Miss Viv and myself there. Just don't touch my cowboy hat. That's all I got to say. But a Heroes Night to Remember on October 3rd. Please go and give to this great charity, this great organization, help veterans and first responders out. Now, the next thing, I got my own Facebook group, Taking the Whiskey Ride. Now, I want you to go join this Facebook group. You want to keep up with old Big Chief and what he's doing. You want to keep up with my barrel picks. Hell, you never can tell. I might have one at Spirit Hounds up there in Lyons, Colorado. But I want you to check out Taking the Whiskey Ride. We've got distillers in there. We've got content creators like myself in there writing whiskey reviews. And then we got whiskey nerds like myself in there just having a good time. Now, hey, we don't put up no nonsense in there. You take that elsewhere. We want everybody from the beginner to the expert to be in there and have a good time. So please come and join Taking the Whiskey Ride. I would really appreciate it. Now you can find old Big Chief on social media at TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and now YouTube at The Whiskey Trip. Hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to old Big Chief, make sure you listen to Mark and Matt and the whole crew from the Bourbon Life. I know they would appreciate it. If you're listening to us and you're listening to them, make sure you leave us that 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Leave us some comments. Those reviews, those comments, they open up doors to distillers like Spirit Hounds. They also get great guests on my show like Britt, Amanda, and Eleanor. I always want to bring you the rest of the story, or as I like to say, the rest of the dram. So keep tracking with me. I'll keep doing these giveaways. I'll keep having great guests on like these three fine ladies right here. What an amazing conversation tonight was. Stick with me. This is old Big Chief, and thanks for taking this ride with me, baby.
Thanks to our sponsors, the Heritage Flag Company and Guardian Coins, for making this episode possible. Drink craft whiskey, support farmers. Cheers.